Hello, how are you doing today? This is Ferrante Frazier, your holistic guide and coach. This is another episode of Natural is F. We're here on ATR Media platform. You need to go to their website right now on Facebook, All Things Relevant Black Media, and go to the one on YouTube, All Things Relevant Black Media on YouTube, and hit like and share, because we have things and shows up there that helps you identify what's relevant in our day and time. And we know health is to be something that's relevant. So many people out here is suffering with health issues today, all because we don't know how to live proper in our habits, and our environment doesn't promote a healthy human being. This body is governed or subjected to the air that we breathe, to the amount of sunlight we get, the water that we drink and food that we eat. And, the standard American diet, or the standard diet across the world right now, is one that is not healthy. The average person is eating, fast foods, processed foods, manufactured food. And we're eating those foods in the most haphazard way. I mean, when I say haphazard, I mean the most ridiculous and undigestible way that we can consume food. It's like we're going up against our biological potential to digest food when we eat in the way that we're eating. Matter of fact, this show is going to be focusing on how to properly consume food that they may digest. All right. We're going to eat food where it can digest. It makes no sense eating food if the food is not digesting. If we're eating food and the food just sitting in our stomach and rotting, then there's no need for us to even eat in the first beginning. So I want to thank all the listeners, all those who come here to view this. I want you to make sure that you share and let other people know that we have a show that comes on every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and we'll be talking about subjects of holistic health and natural healing. Notice that food, health is not just food alone. And Dr. Herbert Shelton used to always say that food is, and even Jesus even said, man can't live by bread alone. But it's not just food alone. But in this show, we're going to be talking about the food aspect, the nutrition of health, as in food, as it relates to food. Nutrition is also the air that we breathe. Got to make sure that we get that. We nurture ourselves with good air. We nurture ourselves with sunlight. We nurture ourselves with clean water. So it's not just food. Right? We nurture ourselves with exercise, maintaining temperatures and our thoughts, and keeping emotional balance, and all that is a nurturing. That is nutrition, or nutritious for us to, have this stupendous health, this, elaborate, immaculate health that, we all are striving for and we wish to have. I believe every man really in his body wants to be healthy, wants to be strong, wants to be beautiful, and look where these women be looking at these men, and these men be looking at these women. That's a sightly being there. All right. But instead of us looking like these perfect images, we look more like the cartoon characters that we see in Fat Albert in the game. We stretched out in every way, and we unproportionate in other ways. Yeah. All because we're not properly aligned with old Mother Nature. When we get properly aligned with Mother Nature, then we're going to see ourselves become more perfect in our being. We're going to have kids that are, looking spectacular. We got it way right now. Most women won't even breastfeed their children. Matter of fact, the average, child that's being born today is on some type of simulate, some type of on some type of poison. Give me just a second here. Give me just a second. All right. All right. The thing is, our eating is what's really causing us to suffer a lot. And since, you know, we all, everybody don't exercise, everybody don't go out and get sunlight, everybody, don't practice meditation or things like that. But one thing we all do is we all eat. Rare do you see any breatharians around here, people who only eat air. you know. So the average individual in the world today is eating. Matter of fact, we're good at that. We're good at eating. We eat. It's a thing that Dr. Shelton said once before. He said that once upon a time we used to have 3 meals a day and snacking in between. But now the Americans have 1 meal a day. Now, if you would think that's a good thing. You mean to tell me they went from 3 meals to eating just 1 meal? They should be losing weight and feeling great. But then he went on to say that 1 meal start off in the morning and don't end until the evening. So the whole meal is all day long. So they just steady eating. Every person wake up eating and don't stop eating until they lay down and go to sleep. I was talking to a young lady and she was saying that she got a friend who, when he orders food, he ordered from 3 different places. When he order on Grubhub or DoorDash, he don't just order from one restaurant. He get him a meal from 3 different restaurants at every meal. And he sit there and eat all 3 of those meals. Now, some people would say, hey, that's a meal. I got to put a meal together. But we don't really understand the stomach, the digestive tube that process incoming food. Now we got a whole digestive tract starting off at our mouth all the way down until it reached down to our rectum. Right? All along this digestive tract, you got different organs and tissues that are strategically placed throughout this tract to process and eliminate waste from the body, to process incoming food, and then to eliminate waste and unnecessary items out of the body. Now, this is a very, you'll say, intelligent system that is designed inside the human body, this digestive tract. Now, digestion, if we define that term, because you're going to need to know some good terms as I'm talking here. Defining digestion is the breakdown of raw material into a simple material that can be utilized. So an apple, it cannot be turned into flesh and blood if it stays an apple. That apple must be first broken down. And the first breaking down starts in the mouth when you bite into the apple and start chewing it. So the teeth and the tongue, to move it around where it can be chewed up some more. So chewing starts digestion. You also have enzymes, salivary glands that are inside the mouth that releases enzymes and juices that mix in with the food as you're moving it around in your mouth. You're chewing, and the food is moving around. So you're breaking the food down with your teeth, and you're mixing in enzymes along with it. And so this is the beginning stages of digestion. So if an individual is not chewing their food up and just swallowing it down whole, that's one step that's been missed, skipped. And you're also not mixing enzymes in there because you woofing the food down. You're not, a lot of us, we put a whole bunch of food in our mouth and we start swallowing the food before it can even be properly broke down. I see the man eat a hamburger in 3 bites in less than a couple of seconds and was reaching for another. Now, there's no way that he chewed up that food properly. And there's no way that the enzymes necessary to break that food down was mixed with it. So if he's not properly doing step 1, step 2, which is the chew the food and the mix enzymes in it, how can we go to stage 3 of digestion, which is gastric digestion, which is in the stomach digestion. So food cannot digest in the stomach if it didn't properly been chewed up and mixed with enzymes. So our food rots. Our food sits in our stomach and rots if it hasn't been chewed up properly and mixed with enzyme. All right. So now you got certain enzymes that break down certain food. Let's talk about 2 of the main ones. 2 of the main enzymes that is involved with digestion is amylase, or they call it Tylen, but amylase is what most people know. And you have pepsin. Amylase breaks down carbohydrate food, starch foods, such as potatoes, rice, pasta, bread. So amylase breaks down carbs. Pepsin breaks down proteinaceous food, protein, like meats, cheese, eggs, butter, milk, and certain nuts, most nuts. All right. Now, pepsin breaks protein down into amino acids. Your body cannot use protein. Your body cannot use carbohydrates. But if the body can reduce those carbohydrates into simple materials such as sugar, amylase is the enzyme that breaks down the carbohydrates into simple sugars, because that's what the body can use, simple sugars. That's the only thing that can go into the blood is a simple sugar. Protein can't go into the blood. Only amino acids can. So protein must be broken down, and pepsin is the enzyme that breaks it down. All right. So when pepsin is poured out on protein, it breaks the bonds between all the amino acids and make them all fall apart. So that's digestion, to break apart the material into simple material. I don't want to sound so scientific here, but I'm trying to make it sound so, I'm trying to show you how science works in a way that you can understand it. Let's put it into how I usually talk to some kids about it. Let's say that when you are digesting food, like bread, for example, bread you can put into your mouth, all right? You put bread into your mouth and just hold it there, and what happens? It dissolves away because amylase is released in the saliva to break that bread down. All right. Now, if you put a piece of meat in your mouth, that meat is not going to digest. It's going to sit there in your mouth. It's just going to sit there and sit there and sit there until you either swallow it or spit it out. Because pepsin or amylase don't break down protein. It only breaks down carbs. What breaks down proteins or the meat is pepsin, and that's released in the bottom part of your stomach where hydrochloric acid is. So pepsin breaks down proteins. Carbs are broken down by amylase. All right? You following me so far? Yes or yes? Yes. Excellent. So the thing about it is, if, like I said, this is the problem that we have. And I'm going to tell you something. This is something that you need to really focus. I'm going to say it a couple of times because this is the most valuable part of this show right now. All that, what I was just talking about, just giving you a little understanding about the human body, the anatomy of the human body, the physiology of how things function, the digestive tract. But this is the main part that you need to write down and listen to. Carbs, amylase, all right, let's say it like this. Amylase and pepsin, the two enzymes that we were talking about, amylase, which is released in the mouth, pepsin, which is released in the bottom of the stomach. All right. So one is produced at the beginning and one is produced at the end. The one that's produced at the beginning breaks down carbs. The one that's produced in the end breaks down proteins. Now, this is the kick. Amylase and pepsin, notice how far they is away from each other. Digestion of carbs begin in the mouth. Digestion of proteins begin down into the stomach. So they're so far away from each other. Reason being, they cannot work when they're in the same environment. It's physiologically impossible for amylase and pepsin to work in the same room. They can't be in the same room. That's why carb digestion is in the mouth and in the fundy, the top part of the stomach. But when it gets down to the lower part of the stomach, where hydrochloric acid is, all carb digestion stops. Amy can't do no work around pepsin. Amy can't do no work around pep. That's how we'll use it. That's how I usually talk to the kid. I say amylase is Amy, kind of, we'll say feminine, gentle. Pepsin, strong, breaks down the hard foods such as protein. Amy, she digests the simple foods such as carbs, bread, pastas, rice, things of that nature. But the thing about it is, when Amy and Pep is in the same room, no work gets done. They playing around. they can't get no work done. So no protein is broken down, no carbs is broken down. The reason why they cannot digest together is because amylase is an alkaline enzyme, meaning that it's high on the pH scale. It's like water. That's why you don't feel your mouth burning when your saliva is not acid. It's watery. But down into your stomach, where pepsin is, it's acidic. It's hydrochloric acid. So carbs digest in a alkaline environment, which is the mouth, where the enzyme amylase form, the salivary, it breaks down carbs. So carbs, starches, they all digest in an alkaline environment. The acidic environment down into your stomach is where proteins digest. Proteins don't digest in an alkaline environment. They digest in an acidic environment. So if meat don't digest in the mouth, neither can bread and starches digest in the lower part of the belly, where hydrochloric acid is. All right. The thing about it is, when we eat the type of foods that we're eating, such as hamburgers and hot dogs and spaghetti, steak and potatoes, we're eating a carb and a protein together, and we're chewing them up in our mouth together and mixing the protein with the carbs. They're getting mixed up. So the carbs cannot digest in the mouth, and neither can it digest in the stomach. The protein can't digest in the mouth, and neither can it digest in the stomach. Why? Because the carbs, the bread, the pasta, all that soaks up the acid in the stomach. So there's no digestion. This is all I'm doing is trying to show you why you suffer indigestion. And it's because we are not combining our food properly. This is an introduction to food combining. That's why it sounds so strange to you as I'm talking about this stuff. Because you were told you have to eat from a pyramid or a food plate that allows you to eat a smorgasbord of food at one meal. Those pyramids that the dietitian, your doctor, and your medical profession is telling you to eat from defies the digestibility of your digestive tract and digesting food. Your digestive tract cannot digest food under those conditions that we are eating under when we eat from that food pyramid. Because the food pyramid have you eating rice, have you eating carbs, have you eating meat, have you eating fruit, have you eating drinking milk, have you drinking juice, have you eating nuts and grains, all this fats, all this at one time. Your stomach have to adjust itself to each food article. Each food article that we put into our body, we require a certain amount of requires a certain enzyme. All right. One food requires amylase, another one requires pepsin, but they can't work at the same time. So if you eat these foods at the same time, only one of them gonna go to work. The other one can't go to work. So the food sits in your stomach and rots. Also, food requires a certain time frame to be in your stomach. Fruits require only 2 to 3 hours digestion in the stomach. A piece of chicken requires anywhere from 10 to 15 hours. A piece of beef may have you digesting it for 24 to 48 hours. Other foods require different times, in your digestive times in your stomach. So let's imagine you eat a piece of rib that requires 20 hours to digest, and you eat a piece of bread, a rib sandwich. Let's say that the digestive tract start digesting the meat. That meat is going to be digesting for 20 hours. They got to prepare the stomach to digest meat, so it become highly acidic, and it start breaking down the meat. Well, what's happening to the bread? The bread is sitting there waiting for 20 hours before the stomach can become more alkaline, where it can be digested. So for the next 20 hours, this bread is sitting in a wet, dark, warm environment. Now, bread sitting under those conditions, guess what they're doing? They're not breaking down properly. They're breaking down, but they're not breaking down properly. So digestion is the proper breakdown of food into usable material. But what's happening with the bread is going to be an improper breakdown, which is a rotting, a decomposition, a putrefying. So as this food decomposes for the next 20 hours, it's going to release gases, release bacteria, favorite bacteria. And those bacteria are going to be releasing waste that is really toxic and irritating. So those foods are being broken down into substances that is not usable. You can't use waste or fermented stuff. That's why I tell people to get away from this fermented food they're ingesting. They think people are telling them that fermented foods are healthy. You know what fermented mean? How are we allowing these people to play with our intelligence? Fermented means rotten, decomposed food. You let food sit and rot for weeks and months and years. The more rotted the food is, the more delicate they say it is, and they charge more money. That kimchi and all that type of rotted food. You don't even want rotten food. But that's just like we do with our drink. The longer we let our wine sit there and rot and age, they call it aging. We enjoy it more. The more rotted our food is, we tend to like it for some reason. So my thing is telling you that we have to pay more attention to how we're combining our foods, that we don't favor rotting. We don't favor decomposition in our digestive tract. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we're eating foods that combine well with each other. If you're eating, let's say a piece of fruit and another piece of fruit, let's say it like this, for example, what would digest properly together? Let's say that we have a piece of chicken, we have some cucumbers and some lettuce. Now, lettuce, cucumbers, they're neutral. They can digest under any conditions of the stomach. It can be alkaline or acidic. Cucumbers, lettuce, they're going to digest. So you can put a piece of chicken, alongside of a bowl of cucumbers and lettuce, and you got a meal. Or you can do rice, some broccoli, and some cucumbers cut up. That's a meal. You just make a meal out of it. Cut up you 2 cucumbers. Fix you a mess of broccoli, and then some rice, or some potatoes, or a piece of bread, or some type of pasta. But the thing is, those things, they can digest together. And if you're eating the meat, eat the meat with a steamed vegetable and some raw vegetables. They can digest together. But when you add meat and a carb, it's not going to digest. And that's what the majority of America is eating right now. We're eating carbs and proteins at the same meal. If we can do that one thing, if you don't do anything else we say here on Natural is Health, if you can modify that one thing of combining your foods more properly, a lot of the health issues that you're suffering from will just disappear. Your weight loss will start coming down so dramatically. Your energy level will start going through the roof because you're wasting a lot of your energy on your haphazard eating, your bad food combining. Just because you're combining your food wrong, you're spending huge amounts of energy, vitality in that wrong eating. So imagine how much energy you can free up by just taking your proteins at one meal and taking your carbs at another meal. Do not take carbs and proteins at the same meal. That's this whole subject in a nutshell. We do not eat fruit with anything. Only fruit. Fruit is to be eaten on an empty stomach. I usually always tell my clients and those who know our format of eating, we break fast always with fruit. Our breakfast is always fruit. So that's us breaking fast. We call that breakfast. Break fast. So we always break fast. Our first meal of the day is always a juicy fruit, and we eat liberally of that fruit until we're satisfied. So yes, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and you should be eating the most wholesome, healthiest food. So if breakfast is so important and it requires the most healthiest of food, what is more healthier than fruits? Now, that's something we don't have to battle about. That's no question. Fruits is the most important meal, that we can put into the human body. It's the most healthiest one. So obviously it should be the first one. Then later on that day, when we done went through all our work, all our play, then we can sit down to a meal of other foods, if that's what we wish. Now, the idea that you eat more fruit and continue in the fruit eat, and maybe eat your big salad of raw vegetable. But if you need, or if you require of yourself to eat, some carbs or some proteins, choose one and just eat that one. Notice how the Atkins diet tends to help people lose weight because they take out carbs out of the meal. It'd be a high protein diet. That's the only thing wrong about it. They haven't eaten too much meat and too much fat. What we do is when we transition to those people who don't want to give up eating protein in the form of animal flesh, we allow them to eat small portions of it prepared a certain way, not deep fried and buttered up and all type of stuff like that. Eat it normal. You put your little seasoning on it and bake it, or broil it, however no battering and deep frying. Because the batter is a carb. Think about it. So we want you to get into the habit of eating healthy meals in healthy combinations. So you want to eat your food in a way where it's going to digest. You start off the day with breaking fast with juicy fruits. In the evening time, we do steamed vegetables, a big raw salad, plus one other item. You can't go wrong if you follow that format. All right, I'm going to repeat this. The problem that we have is that we eat our foods in the wrong combination. And this wastes a lot of our energy, and a lot of that food sits in our stomach and rot, producing a lot of the health issues that we suffer from. All the gases, all the diarrhea, all the vomiting, all the skin eruptions coming from our body. All those things are the body purging itself of decomposed matter. And these decomposed matter is the result of food rotting inside of our digestive tract. And food that rotten never becomes cell structure, tissues, bones. So we are depleting ourselves of healthy material in which to repair our bones, our blood, and our cells. So we are starving ourselves in actuality when our food don't properly digest. So we got to make sure that we're digesting the food where it can feed our body, feed our cells and tissue. So if we're eating how we've been eating all our life, we've been starving ourselves all our life. You may think that you're nurturing your body, but you're not. That's why you're aging and you're suffering the health issues that you're suffering from. You won't age if you send the nutrients that your body needs. It'll go on keep repairing itself into newness, new cells and new tissue. You won't age a bit. That's the secret to staying youthful and vibrant. You got to make sure you nourish yourself. But the only way to do that is to learn how to do it properly. No animal in nature we see combine their foods haphazard like we do. You don't see tigers following some type of pyramid or some type of food plate chart. No, they don't do no mess like that. Whenever they're hungry, they go find a fruit tree and they sit there and eat that fruit tree. Or they go find them an animal and they just sit there and eat the animal. They don't have to go have no rice with the animal, no potatoes, cut up no potatoes, no, have no other. They don't. They just eat that food in question right there. Whatever is right in front of them, they consume it. You don't see birds eating worms and seeds together. Like, go and pull them up some worms and have some seeds and say, oh, dinner time. No. So I want you to pay attention to how, like I said, no animals in nature, sit down at a buffet and eat. So that's the same thing that we need to pay attention to. We read in the Bible when the children of Israel was walking through the wilderness, they were eating manna. They were allowed to eat their bread. And they started complaining about they wanted meat. So Moses said, okay, I tell you what, we're going to provide you with some chicken, birds. But the thing is, you can only eat it in the evening. Eat your bread in the morning and eat your meat in the evening. But don't combine those two foods together. So here it is, food combining was already preached in the Bible if we only pay attention to it. The knowledge is there. Only when we are aware and can see it, we're now in light. So we bring light to your understanding. You're no longer in darkness about what it is to have the best digestive tract. And that comes from getting away from the culinary arts. A lot of us are so culinary arted. I don't know if that's a way to even say anything. But we're so stuck into the culinary arts where they just got dishes galore that's so mixed up and cuisines and all type of say things that have so many ingredients in them. You know, we don't just eat greens over some white rice anymore. We eat some stuff that got 80 different ingredients in there that have been prepared so many different ways into one quiche. We don't just cut up some okra and, put it over some rice. Let's cut up some cabbage and put it over some rice. We don't cut up zucchini and squash and put it over some rice. We don't do that anymore. We have all these dishes. We cut up chicken, we cut up our vegetables, we put rice and we add potatoes and we do all kind of stuff and we mix it all together and we pour it in the pan and we stick it in the oven and we come out and say, oh, gula. And we sit there and we indulge. And then as we're eating it, we start belching and we start having the gnawing sensations in our stomach, the pain in our stomach, gas building up, and we start passing gas. We start complaining about headaches. We start having sinus issues. We having itching going on. It's all signs of poison. And we say, man, something was wrong with that meat. The meat wasn't fresh. We come from buffets and we wonder why we're suffering with all type of health issues. I think I should have left that seafood alone. They should have left all that stuff alone. Or only ate one item. The more items you eat, the more problems you're going to have with your stomach. Because the stomach cannot digest all those different food items at one time. And that food is sitting inside of you rotting. It's becoming, this toxic stuff. So I want to encourage you to eat modest, eat mono meal. We call it the mono meal, where we eat one item at a meal. Like, I go in there and I eat some oranges, and I'm gonna eat about 5-10 oranges at a time until I'm full. I'm not gonna mix the oranges with some rice. I'm not gonna, I've seen people do that now. Yeah, I know you out there like, orange and rice? What do you mean? But I see people who eat food, and I mean eat all type of stuff, and then go and come back with a plate of fruit. Just because you don't eat them at the same, put an orange and put some rice on an orange and eat it like that, it's still going in the stomach at the same time. How can that digest? Just because you ate it 2 minutes later, it's still getting into your stomach and going to sit there waiting on 10 hours of digestion of the rice, 10 hours of digestion of the vegetables that you ate, 10 hours of the digestion of the meats that you ate. Each meat requires a different 10, 20 hours. So nothing is ever getting digested. I'm just being honest with you. All that food just sitting inside of us, just rotting. All of that food. None of that becoming healthy cells and tissue. But when you start waking up in the morning and starting your day breaking fast with fresh fruits and vegetables, you're going to see your health start soaring. you're going to see yourself having more energy, more vitality. So I'm sharing this with you today. If you will only give it a test run for 7 days, wake up in the morning and start only eating fruit. One fruit, pick you one fruit and consume that fruit all day long until evening time. But don't eat all day long. Just let that be your meal, at 12 o'clock. We do one meal at 12 and we do another meal at 6 to 8. So we do 2 meals a day. The first meal being your fruit meal, and then your evening meal being your meal of steamed vegetable, a big raw salad of just some lettuce and cucumbers. It can just be cucumber, just a big, cut you up 2 cucumbers, and that's your salad. It don't have to be a mixed up salad of a whole bunch of items or anything like that. Nah, just break you up some lettuce, or just cut you up some cucumbers, or have you some sticks of celery. Dice you up a couple of bell peppers, any type of raw vegetable. Throw you 2 handfuls of spinach. Any of that good stuff. And you do that with plus one other item. So you do a big raw, lightly steamed vegetable, plus one other thing. A raw salad, a lightly steamed vegetable, plus one other thing. That's your dinner. You do that for 7 days, and you come back next Tuesday and tell me, hey, man, that didn't work. I say, you need to try that again. But you're not going to say that. If you honestly do it in good faith, you'll see your energy level go up, and you even get on the scale and see you done lost 5 or 10 pounds by next Tuesday. All right? So fruit in the morning at breakfast. Grab you one fruit and eat liberally of that fruit. Now, you can change that fruit every day. You don't have to just do oranges the whole 7 days. You can do oranges one day. You can do bananas another day. You can do watermelon another day. You can do cantaloupe another day. That's up to you. So do you fruit breaking fast. And then in the evening, you have your meal of steamed vegetable, nice big raw salad. I would tell you just go ahead and do you some cucumbers and some lettuce. Let's just say it like that instead of just saying a big raw salad. Just do you cucumbers and celery, cucumbers and lettuce, a loose leaf lettuce. Do cucumbers and a loose leaf lettuce. Get you one cucumber, and if you're gonna do loose leaf lettuce, maybe a half a head. If you can do a whole head, do a whole head. And then you eat that salad first, then the steamed vegetable, and then go after your plus one item. All right. If you got rice, then you can just eat your rice and your steamed vegetable together. If you got potatoes, you can do your potatoes and your steamed vegetable together. You can throw your steamed vegetable and toss it up into some pasta, and then have your big salad there. That's a meal. If you do that you won't hunger because you're eating foods. It's just that you're eating it at different times. You're not eating your meat along with your rice. You can eat enough to get full. But just by you just taking out one of those items at each meal, you're going to see your digestive tract become more efficient. It's going to save more energy. It's going to heal up. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel less aches and pains throughout your body. I need you to try it for 7 days. Try it for 7 days. How many days? 7. So we'll be back up here next Tuesday. And I do want you to, if you could post how you did for the 7 days. All right. Next week, when we come on, I want you to just put up there. I did it. I lost 3 pounds. I feel great. I feel amazing when I did that. I noticed that my, digestive issue went away. I was gassy up. I was having pain. I was having constipation. I was having diarrhea. All that disappeared when I follow what you said, Dr. Frazier. All right. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Everyone who's came to us with digestive issues and we put them on this plan, all their issues disappear. Not some, all of them. Every last one of them. No one did not get benefit from this. All right. So I'm telling you, if you want to feel better, this is a show plan. So follow this and let your digestive tract become 100% better. I gave you an understanding. If you listen to it, listen to this show over and over, this is an introductory to it. We can go deeper into making your digestive tract great as I don't know what. But this is a start towards healing. I pray that you go ahead and follow it, and I'll see you next week. I love y'all, and y'all take care. Best of health and happiness.
Like this.